ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here we are seeing the description of the four Kumaras who had already entered the 6 doors of Vaikuntha, and now they are at the 7th door. So at the 7th door they saw 2 doorkeepers, and so the 4 Kumaras here are described, they are just like childlike. So just like a child is considered to be innocent and without duplicity, these 4 great sages, they were actually childlike, innocent and without any duplicity. They did not discriminate. And here when they were entering the 7th door, suddenly they were stopped by these 2 doorkeepers. And Prabhupada explains that even though they were childlike in appearance, but actually they were very mature in their understanding. And they were not ordinary children, they were great sages. So they made preparation to punish these doormen. Because even till today we see that sages are not checked like this. They are not stopped to go anywhere. So it is, the sages are different from ordinary people. If ordinary people enter, that is different. But the great sages, just like Narada Muni, he goes anywhere. So like that, the great sages, they are not stopped, they are not checked anywhere. So they became angry and they wanted to punish this doorman. That is what is being described here. Dwari etayoho nivivishuhu mishato aprishtava. So Dwari, in the door, etayor, these both doorkeepers, they were standing at the door. Nivi Vishur Mishator Aprushtava. Nivi Visho means, even though these 2 doormen were standing, the 4 sages, they entered. And these 2 doormen, they were just watching. Mishitoho, they were watching. Aprishtava. Now these 4 Kumaras, they did not take any. Prishtava means taking permission. Aprishtava means without taking permission. They had never taken permission like that. Even when they entered the 6 doors, without any permission they had entered. So similarly, just like they had entered other doors, they entered without permission. So they did not take permission from the doorman. Aprishtava. Why they entered like that? Purva yatha. Just like Purva, earlier doors they had entered. What were the earlier doors? Purata Vajra Kapatika Yaha. Earlier doors which were made of Purata means gold, Vajra, diamond. So like other 6 doors they had entered, which were made up of gold and diamond. Likewise they entered the 7th door also without taking any permission from the doorman. And the doormen were watching there. Dwari etayor and Mishatoho. So they were just watching. So then it is said, Sarvatrate Vishamaya Munayaha Swadrishtaya. Actually, these great sages were free to go anywhere. Sarvatra. They had no one would check them. Because actually that is Vedic culture. The great sages, even to this day, Prabhupada says, if they go to somebody's house, they go to somebody's place, they go to some other country, they are not checked. They are actually welcomed, rather. So here, it was rather than a welcome, rather than asking them, please come inside, it was with their stick, they checked them, they stopped. Why they would roam around everywhere? What was their qualification? Avishmaya. Avishmaya means, Prabhupada says, in the purport Prabhupada says, duplicitous. They were not duplicitous. And in the in the translation, Prabhupada says, without any sense of discrimination. They had no such discrimination. He is some big man, he is small man or something. No discrimination. They would see with equal vision. So, because of this, they were welcome everywhere. They would be able to go everywhere. And then, how they would go? Swadrishtaya. Out of their own will, they would enter anywhere. So that means the great sages had so much freedom. Now the point is, actually if you see, this is the qualification for which they were actually welcome everywhere. They had no such discrimination, they would see with equal vision. They were not duplicitous. And that is why out of their own will, they would go. Just like even it is said about Shukdev Goswami, out of his own will, little early in the morning when householders would be, just taking out the milk from the cows, he would reach there on the pretext of taking milk from the householder, but actually his real mission was to give association to such people. And he was always welcome. You see? So on the pretext of giving a service to the householder, so that this householder, they will get a chance to do service to such a great personality, they will get a chance to hear from such a great personality, out of his own will he would go. And actually they would be very fortunate. If such a great personality walking to somebody's house, they were really fortunate to get the association, to get the service of such a great personality. We see that actually. When all the great sages were assembled, and when Parikshit Maharaj was fasting till his leaving his body, Shukdev Goswami is described that such a great personality out of fortune, he entered that place. And all these people were very fortunate to have his association. So such a great personality who came for Parikshit Maharaj, for such a great devotee, would sometime on his own will even go to householder's house. So actually that was it was very fortunate for them. So great sages out of their own will going to some places was actually welcome everywhere. But unfortunately, this tendency, this most important association, this most important principle of going around and begging in somebody's house to give them association, it has been exploited. Without having the qualification of this, just like Avishamaya, Swadrishtaya, without having this kind of qualification, unfortunately, just to make a living, the so-called sadhus, they go around begging from people's house. Now they have made it a better business. Now we don't have to work hard, let people work hard. We will just go beg from people and we will earn our livelihood. You see, in other countries it is not there. In other countries you will not find sadhus going around and begging, because they don't entertain. Indian culture was like that they would entertain sadhus coming to their houses. You see, that was Indian culture. That's why today you will find, everywhere you will find people in saffron. Because now it has become easy. Let people work hard and we will just sit and we will eat. Prabhupada says that actually he had seen so-called sadhus. That's why he had also become very skeptical about sadhus. And that's why people become skeptical about sadhus. Prabhupada, he gave example that there was one neighbor, he was living just across his house. Morning time he would dress in saffron. Morning time, only morning time. Morning time he would dress in saffron. He would go around in the houses of people begging and asking money, asking chapatis, asking atta, all those things. Everything he will collect. And in the night he will change back to pant, shirt, everything, and he will do all his normal business. Not only that, many times Prabhupada saw, because Prabhupada's, that was the culture, Indian culture. His father Gaur Mohan De, he was also very, very receptive to sadhus. Any saffron dress, any sadhu would come, he would welcome them. And sometimes they would exploit him. His father was a very simple, honest gentleman, but they would exploit him. So he had seen his father being exploited by these so-called sadhus. Sometimes they would be, they would come in saffron dress and they would be asking money for smoking bidis and cigarette. They would be smoking ganja, isn't it? So, because of this culture that sadhus were not checked anywhere, sadhus were welcome everywhere, many people have taken to this profession. They've made it as a profession. And they take the garment, they take the dress of a sadhu, but they are not actually sadhu. They are lower than a sadhu. They are even lower than a sadhu sometimes. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur sometimes used to criticize these so-called sadhus who have spoiled the names of sadhus, real sadhus. Isn't it? Even if a real sadhu goes, now people think like this. They become skeptical. Isn't it? So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, it is much better to take a profession of a sweeper in the street. Better to become a sweeper in the street than to take the dress of a sadhu and exploit people in the name of a sadhu and cheat people in the name of a sadhu. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say that it is far better, because this is how the whole practically, the modern exploitation of this dress has started like that. So, otherwise actually sadhus were welcome everywhere. Prabhupada, in fact, when Prabhupada went to many places, and this mentality of not welcoming a great devotee of the Lord, why a sadhu actually, he should be allowed to go everywhere? Prabhupada explains, because he has no discrimination. He is not thinking, I am an Indian and I have come to take something for India. Suppose Prabhupada or a great personality is going from one place to another. He has no such discrimination that I belong to this country alone and I should go and take favor for my country. Why actually people are not welcomed everywhere? Why there is immigration department? Why there is visa? Why there is passport required? Why all these different kinds of things are required is because people have discrimination. Somebody going from India, they want to do favor to India, they will take money from America and they will put it in India, right? So the government of America is careful. Why these people want to come here? Will they benefit our society? Then only they will be given visa. If they have come for their own purpose, they may not be, they will be rejected of the visa. So actually sadhu is supposed to be a one who has no such discrimination. He is not duplicitous. Inside he is something, outside he is something. He is not having that kind of discrimination. And his understanding is Ishavasam idam sarvam. Every place belongs to God. Just like Prabhupada gives an example, today what is called America is actually, it is not belonging to them. They came and occupied the land. Before that, somebody else was occupying those land. Right? Australia, let us say these white people, they went and occupied those land. South Africa, Actually, it belonged to the black people, but today we see there are so many white people there. So they went and occupied that land. And then they claimed, now this is our land. So now we are living here, now you cannot come here. This is called immigration department. Prabhupada used to say, this immigration department is just like a dog department. Actually, it is just like a dog department. Sometimes Prabhupada used to say, or it is called Bhau department. Why? Just like sometimes you will find 3 to 4 dogs, they will get together and they will say, this is our place. And they will go, sometime you will find they will go and pass urine, saying that this is now my place. This is how they occupy place. Now this is my place. So 4 to 5 dogs, and Prabhupada says not that they are also living peaceably. Even the 4 to 5 dogs who are living, who are saying this is our territory, they will also fight with each other. Isn't it? But especially when some other dog comes to their territory, all these 4 or 5 will get together and they will bark like anything. Correct? So this is their, why? This is my territory, why are you coming to my territory? So Prabhupada says this is dog's mentality. They are thinking this is my territory, why other dogs should come to my territory? Like this we have made. That this is our place, this is my country, this is my society, why are you entering here? So this is so-called immigration department. So Prabhupada, even when he went to many places because of this mentality of exploitation, even Prabhupada was checked. Prabhupada was asked, why are you coming to our country? What do you want to do? How many months you are going to stay? Then Prabhupada had to tell, no, I am going for this preaching purpose. I want to give this message to the people. And don't worry, I will not stay much. I will stay only for 1 or 2 months. Okay. And after 2 months, you should go out. You can see. So, this is the culture which it has become all over the world today, that sadhus are not welcome. So Prabhupada, that's why he is pointing out in the purport that in India, even till today, even to this day, a saintly person is never checked from entering anyone's door in India. It's a very nice one incident, one devotee tells about how that in India, that even when Prabhupada was there, he experienced this, that in India, even till today, a sadhu is welcomed. Even though there are so many exploiters in the name of sadhu. Even till today, these sadhus are welcomed actually. It so happened that in Prabhupada, when he came back in 72 with his Western disciples to India, in Mumbai, Prabhupada used to have a morning walk. So they would park their vehicle at some place and then Prabhupada would go for a morning walk on the beach and along with the devotees. So it so happened that after the morning walk, Prabhupada came back and they came back to their car and the foreign disciple was there. He was trying to start the car and it is not starting. And then Prabhupada was sitting at the backside. Then both the foreign disciples, they came out and they tried to go to some mechanic and they just wanted. So then suddenly 2 Indian people came and they came and they sat in the front of the car. And then Prabhupada started talking to them in Hindi, and suddenly these people also came back, these foreign disciples also came back. And suddenly this man took out the key from his pocket and he started the car. Actually it was their car. By mistake, Prabhupada and these devotees had entered into their car, which was looking similar. It was open. The car was open. So they had entered into the car. And still instead of shouting or anything, he was so respectful. And then Prabhupada was saying, sorry, we entered into the wrong car, like that. But he was saying, no, Swamiji, it is our great fortune. Please give us this service. We would like to drop you to which place you would like to. So this is Indian culture. You can see that even till today, even in that sense, sadhus are welcomed. So, Prabhupada explains very nicely this definition of actually who is a sadhu. Sadhu is not just by the dress. That is what we have to understand. Today the definition of sadhu has become completely different. So of course that is a sentiment of Indian culture, that actually one who is renounced, he is called as a sadhu. So actually sadhu may not be just saffron dress, only signifies renunciation. That is the idea of sadhu. But actually real renunciation is renouncing material activities. Sometimes we may not even renounce material wealth. Sometimes we may not even renounce material facilities, because they are all required to serve the Supreme Lord. The spirit of renunciation is important. We have to renounce the spirit of enjoyment, that this is meant for my enjoyment. Rather, we have to change it to this is meant for service of Krishna. I am just utilizing it to serve Krishna, not for my enjoyment. That is actually real spirit of renunciation. So, definition of real sadhu is actually given in Bhagavad Gita. Definition of real sannyasi, real renouncement. Who is a real sannyasi? That Krishna talks to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, sannyasi is not one who is not igniting a fire. That is not sannyasi. Not that I renounce. Why Krishna is giving that example? Because to maintain this material body, one has to work. Right? So, what is the minimum work required? We have to maintain this body, we have to eat something. So, fire is required for that. So, Krishna is saying, it is definition of sannyasi is not that one who does not ignite fire, he is called a sannyasi. No, that is not sannyasi. Sannyasi is one who renounces the result of his activities. That is called sannyasi. Not that I take the dress of a sannyasi, but whatever I am doing, I am attached to the results of all those activities. I enjoy those results. And then I am thinking that I am a sannyasi. That is not the definition of sannyasi. Definition of sannyasi is one who renounces the result, not the activities. Renouncing the activities is not sannyas. Renouncing the result of the activities in the service of the Lord, that is actually real sannyas. So actually that is the real definition. In that sense, even one may not be in saffron robes, he can be the greatest sannyasi. Prabhupada sometimes used to say that many of my householder disciples, they are more than so-called sannyasis. Because actually the real spirit is in the renunciation of results in the service of the Lord. That is called sannyasa. And then Prabhupada describes that actually there is a possibility, because when we are trying to become sadhu, when we are trying to become devotees, when we are trying to become mahatma, there is a possibility that accidentally one may fall down. Possibility is there. Because waves of material nature is very high. The different kinds of habits what we have from our old life, from our old kind of environment, sometimes that may overpower. Even for a person who is trying to be on the path of being a sadhu. But that is accidental, and Krishna forgives such accidental fall down. Krishna explains, sadhureva samantavya. Such a person still should be called sadhu. Not that just because of his accidental fall down he should be considered to be a sadhu. No. Krishna gives the reason. Why he should be called sadhu? Very soon he will come back to the path. Very soon. Shipram. Krishna uses that word. Shipra means very fast. Very soon he will come back to his saintly character. But Krishna is not giving a license. Krishna is not saying about that you use this, that you do any nonsense and then think that God will forgive me. No, that is not the idea. Or we take the dress and think that anyway, now I had taken dress, so I am immune to all these things. No problem. I can do any nonsense and still I am a sadhu. That is not the understanding. What Krishna talks about is only an accidental fall down. Not that we take a license that in this dress I can do anything. That is not the idea. So especially those who are in saffron dress specifically, we have to be very, very careful, because even till today people have that reverence for the saffron dress. So we should not be cheating people. We should not be exploiting the sentiment of people. Isn't it? The moment people see a person in saffron, they understand he is in a spirit of renunciation. So instead of igniting renunciation in people, if we go around with them, mingle with them, become, and exploit them and, take advantage of their awe and reverence towards a sadhu, then that is not excused by the Lord. So that is not considered to be sadhu. That we should understand. So this we have to be very careful about, that specifically the saffron dress is very much revered in India. And that is what Prabhupada is saying. Sadhu is welcome even till today. So we should not be in that exploitative mood, or even rather we should be very, very watchful and careful that in this dress if I do something, it's a big, people's respect for this saffron dress will come down. When people see that, that we are thinking that they're all great Mahatmas, they're all great sadhus, and we are seeing they're also like ordinary people, isn't it? So that should not happen. So, Prabhupada explains about this so-called sadhus who are in the dress of sadhus, but actually they are lower than sadhus. So Prabhupada says, sometimes the so-called sadhus, they smoke ganja and they pass it on that no, even Lord Shiva, he is a great mendicant, even he smokes ganja, so we can also smoke. It is not for you, not for ordinary people, but for sadhu. Great mendicant like me, they can smoke. Just like great mendicant like Lord Shiva, he can smoke ganja. They think like this. But actually they do not understand. Lord Shiva, he can drink poison without getting affected, because he is very powerful. We cannot drink. Sun can soak, evaporate urine without getting affected. We cannot imitate that. Similarly, there are section of Mayavadis. They also say like this, that we can do anything, does not matter. Krishna danced with gopis, so what is there? We can also dance with gopis. So you will find, they will invite many people and they will say, I am not affected. You may be affected. I am not affected by all these things. Just like Krishna was not affected, we are also not affected. So I can dance without getting affected. They think like this. So there is a class of Sahajiyas and there is a class of Mayavadis also who think like this. So Prabhupada criticizes them. There was one even Babaji from Haridwar. So how these people, they don't understand actually the reality of Krishna consciousness. They don't understand what is the meaning of, what is the definition of sadhu, they don't understand. He is in a sadhu dress, but he does not understand who is a sadhu. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Vedescha sarve ahameva vedyaha. From all the Vedic literature I am to be known. And this sadhu criticized Prabhupada that this Bhaktivedanta Swami, what kind of sadhu he is? He is worshipping one rural boy, Krishna. See? He gave an interview like this, that what is this Bhaktivedanta Swami? What is he doing? What is he worshipping? He is worshipping one rural boy. He is not doing meditation like us, penances like us. How you can call him sadhu? See, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, what is real self-realization? What is the meaning of understanding God? What is the meaning of understanding Vedas? From all the Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord has to be known. And then Prabhupada also explains about so-called sadhus. They will even change the words of the Lord. What the Lord is saying, they will have their own meaning of what the Lord is saying. It's like Krishna is saying very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. In the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsava. There are so-called sadhus, they will say, when Krishna is saying Dharma kshetre kurukshetre, Kurukshetra is not some historical place. Kurukshetra is your own body. Your own life is a Kurukshetra. Pandavas is not some historical personality. Pandavas is 5 good qualities in you. Kauravas is not some historical personality. Kauravas is all bad qualities in you. You see, this is what they think. So Mahabharata is nothing but this body is Mahabharata, they think. So there is no history like Mahabharata. So they will take out like this. There is another, one very famous mission. And one of the founder of that mission says, and they teach Bhagavad Gita. They are famous for teaching Bhagavad Gita. And the founder of that mission, who founded that mission, he says, what is necessary from Bhagavad Gita we should accept. What we may not be able to practice today, we should reject. Some teachings of Bhagavad Gita we may not be able to take, we have to reject those teachings. Something what is favorable, we have to accept. Can you imagine? This is a Ardha Kukuti Nyaya, half hen logic. What I think is beneficial for me, I can accept. What is not beneficial, I will think that I will cut it off. So, this is not actually sadhu. So, real sadhu, I'll just read out that Prabhupada explains that beautifully. Krishna explains. First, Krishna explains, even though he is equal to everyone, but still he is very favorable to one who worships him without deviation. So Krishna says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me dvesho asti na priyaha. There is no one whom I envy and there is no one who is very dear to me. Okay, na priyaha na dvesho asti. But then Krishna is further saying, Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai te teshu cha api aham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend in me, and I am also a friend to him. You see? Then next Krishna explains that such a person who is worshipping me, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya, such a person, even if accidentally sometimes he falls down, api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhat sadhureva samantavyah samyak vyavasthito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains This word suduracharo is very significant. We should understand it properly. So Prabhupada says, we are all conditioned in the material world. We are conditioned by the body. So that is the conditioning. He has two kind of activities. One in condition, another is constitutional. So actually in our original position we have some activity. What is our original position? Prabhupada says in our original position everyone is sadhu. In our original, because what is sadhu? Sadhu means one who is worshipping the Lord. So in original position everyone is sadhu. In conditional position all of us are asadhu. Because actually instead of worshipping Krishna, we are all trying to serve our own senses. So we are all asadhu in that sense. But we are conditioned today. So Prabhupada is saying there are two activities, constitutional and conditional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities even for devotees. So even devotee has to take care of the body. Even devotee has to abide by the laws of state. Devotee cannot say that now I am transcendental, red light will come, I will not bother. I am devotee. My activities are different. I am on transcendental plane. No. Even he has to abide by the conditioning of the body. He has to abide by such rules of the body. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position and they are technically called devotional service. Now, in conditional state, sometimes devotional service and conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. Sometimes there is no conflict. The demands of bodies will go by the demands of devotional service. You see, when we are completely purified. But in conditional state, sometimes this may not happen. In devotional service, there is certain demand, but body will certainly demand certain things. So Prabhupada is saying sometimes it may not be parallel. Such activities, now in the conditional state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another, but then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious. He does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depend on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act that may be taken as most abominable socially or politically. Such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. So it's a temporary, accidental fall down, does not disqualify. Next verse Krishna says, Shipram bhavati dharmatma. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, I declare it boldly, my devotees never perishes. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So Krishna gives protection to his devotees even from accidental fall downs. But as I said, we should not take this for granted and think that, in this, as a sadhu, Krishna will give protection. So let me do whatever is possible. That we should not do. We should be very responsible. So we'll stop with this. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.